Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Ankita's Management Hub. How are you doing? I hope you are doing great. Well, today we will discuss about debt's influence on global power structure. We will try to understand what is debt influence, what will be its consequences, how it can be impact the global power. What is debt diplomacy? What is lender influence? We will try to get into it. Now, let's understand what is global power. Global power basically the ability of the country to influence other nations. It can be through economic mode, it can be through your military, it can be your financial strength, influence through culture, your political power, etc. By choosing any mode, influencing other nation and showing yourself as a global power. Example, China, USA.
Global power structure refer to the distribution and dynamic of influence, authority and control among nations and international actors. Now, we will understand about the types of debt. There is two types of debt, internal debt that is also known as domestic debt. Next one we have external debt. Internal debt is a debt owed to creditor within the country, often in the form of a government bonds or a loan, whereas external debt is a country's debt that is owed to a foreign creditors, including governments. Sovereign debt. Sovereign debt, also known as a government debt, it refers to the amount of money that a national government owes to the external creditors or basically a domestic lenders. Government typically incur debt to finance various activities like our public infrastructure projects, budgetary needs, etc. Now let's understand the relationship between debt and economic stability. The relationship between debt and economic stability is very complex, whereas it depends on the various factors. We have to check out the role of debt, whether it's a negative or a positive. It can be positive if debt is responsible of borrowing, can contribute to economic growth by financing infrastructure projects, education and other investment. It can enhance the productivity. Whereas we can see the negative impact of excessive debt can also be seen. High level of debt, especially if it is unsustainable, can pose risk or put an economy into instability. Countries with large debts pose risk and economic downturn. Whereas interest rate also plays a crucial role. Rising interest rate can increase the cost of servicing debt and potentially straining government budget, affecting the overall growth. Now we will discuss the lender influence. Lender can exert the influence on borrower through various mechanisms, especially in the context of the sovereign debt or a corporate debt. It can be through various means, likewise debt diplomacy, or it can create the pressure on the borrower country. Lender nation may use their diplomatic influence to shape the policies of a borrower nation. This influence even can extend to international forums, where the lender may advocate on certain policies. Loans provided by the lender nations, especially through international financial institutions, often come with various conditions. These conditions may include economic reform, fiscal discipline, or other measures that borrowers must implement to secure or maintain access to financial support. International organizations can exert influence on borrower nations through the conditions that are attached to the loans or through policy recommendations. Trade relationship even can influence the lender nations. Debt diplomacy. Debt diplomacies refer to the use of debt by any one of country to exert influence and control the another nation. It is basically a strategic approach to influence other nations. Lender nations strategically provide loans for infrastructure projects such as ports, railways, energy facility in the borrower nations. It creates economic dependency to the borrower nation and strengthen the lender influence over key assets. By offering loans or financial assistance, the lender gains economic leverage, enabling them to shape economic policies, trade relationships, and resource allocation in the borrower nation. Next, we can see debt trap. Excessive borrowing, often at unfavorable terms, can lead to debt trap, where the borrower has to struggles to repay its loan. Debt relief program. It is a structured initiative that is used to reduce the burden of debt from the nation facing financial challenges. Its goal is to provide relief by reducing the overall debt burden, extending repayment terms. And IMF, that is International Monetary Fund, and the World Bank aim to help heavily indebted poor countries by restructuring or cancelling some of their debts. Debt relief program aim to make the debt burden sustainable, ensuring that countries can manage their finances without facing recurring crises. Now, I would like to discuss the case study regarding the same topic that we have discussed, Sri Lanka's experience with Chinese debt. Sri Lanka wanted to enhance its infrastructure, so it turned to China for financial assistance. As a result, Chinese government and state-owned enterprises provided substantial loans for the ambitious project, including the construction of a port in Habentota. We will see how China exploited Sri Lanka on the basis of loan, how China used debt diplomacy. Economic challenges that Sri Lanka government has to face. They aim to boost the Sri Lankan economies, whereas as a result, high level of debt incurred become a source of economic pain to Sri Lanka. Loan repayment became a challenge for them, leading to a debt to GDP ratio. Debt to GDP ratio is a financial matrix. It means that compares a country's total debt to its GDP. This is a ratio that is commonly used to assess country's fiscal health. Lender influence. However, China lent loan to Sri Lanka, but Sri Lanka has to struggle with repayment. China leveraged its position as a major lender, resulting Sri Lanka handing over the Hambantota port over a 99 years lease to China in 2017. That shows that how China exploit Sri Lanka on the basis of debt influence. That's it for today. Remember to stay tuned for more content. Until next time, take care and thanks again for watching.